This is the Grim Reaper, personification of death, cultural icon, and a popular fixture of the New Yorker's famous cartoons for the last 80 years. In addition to his many appearances on late-night TV, early morning cartoons, and movies, the Grim Reaper has appeared in over 104 cartoons since 1937. In this one, he's taking a coffee break, reaping the stale baked goods. Here, he's come to collect the soul of a dead toaster. And sometimes, he just wants to pop your balloon. The more you look at New Yorker cartoons that feature the Grim Reaper, the more you notice he's always the butt of the joke. So why do we do this? Why do we have this urge to laugh in the face of death? We first have to address why death has a face at all. Death is a lot like pasta. Every culture deals with it in their own way. The image of death as a shepherd or ferryman to the underworld has been found in cultures around the globe. Early North American cave paintings featured otherworldly characters accompanying departed humans on the path of souls. The ancient Greeks had Charon, and the Mexicans, to this day, celebrate Santa Muerte. Like many religious or spiritual icons, personifications of death are coping mechanisms to communicate a complicated, scary, or mysterious idea of what happens to your soul after passing from this world. The Reaper is no different. His dark and terrifying appearance is a reflection of the world he came from, a world gripped by fear in the midst of one of the deadliest events in human history, the Black Plague. The plague was a daily nightmare. It crept through Europe and Asia, killing hundreds of millions of people.
Images have a power to structure a human relationship with the event. An image like the Grim Reaper is a moral assurance that death is fair. There are all kinds of stories coming from the late Middle Ages about the fact that death is very democratic. It takes everybody. It takes bishops, it takes princes, it takes women, it takes children, everybody.
Medieval artists began using skeletons as a shorthand for death, as all around them, bodies were piled in the streets, rotting down to their bones. Danse macabre depicted skeletons dancing and playing musical instruments to coax the living to their graves. Humans were fighting a war with death, and they were losing. Badly. We've come a long way from the earliest grim depictions of death. The New Yorker's cartoonists have replaced the grim with the glum, while laughing at the absurdity and complexity of modern life. For medieval artists, illustrating a society downsized by the plague, their Reaper used everyday objects like swords or crossbows. But it was the two-handed scythe that became the natural choice for the agrarian society of medieval Europe. The scythe was significantly more efficient and productive than the ancient one-handed sickle. With it, death could mow down huge swaths of the population. Death became a Reaper. The New Yorker's depictions of the Reaper have the tools to match the times. It's funny to imagine death stripped of his iconic weapon and replaced with the latest trend in multi-blade technology, or giving him a microphone to kill it at the comedy club. Laughing can psychologically help us deal with trauma, and morbid jokes are a fixture of comedy.
Dude, bad news. You're dead.
But the New Yorker cartoons are playing to something more primal. The best satire speaks truth to power, like when a coworker cracks a joke about your boss, or death being a stand-in for a corrupt politician. Comedy feels good when it's aimed at a perpetrator of injustice, and the Grim Reaper looms large at the top of that totem pole. Death is more powerful than anything or anyone, the perpetrator of the greatest injustice in the universe, that we all die. Here's the Grim Reaper's first appearance in a New Yorker cartoon. He's requesting a boat with muffled oars. It's horrifying to think of death moving silently across the water, but it's less scary to think of the mundanity his job entails. This is why we so often see the Grim Reaper in pop culture, doing silly or human things. The Reaper was invented during the plague to cope with the horrors of mortality, and really, not much has changed. Despite our effort to cheat death by running on treadmills or eating kale, the Grim Reaper is always on his way. And while we wait for our time to come, all we can do is laugh. It may not be much, but it's a brief respite from the existential grip that death holds. After all, when death comes knocking at the door, he could just be a sore throat.